Good afternoon. Welcome to the tea table. I am so happy you've joined me today. It's really the beginning of spring, and I know you all love it. We all love spring. Daffodils. I see all this cherry blossoms, and yesterday I was driving and I saw a dogwood tree or maybe it was a magnolia. It looked like this glorious wedding garment, and the wind came and it shed its leaves right in front of me. It was like a gift, so gorgeous. Well, if you haven't gotten your tea yet, you can pause and please get your tea. Well, today we are listening to Mozart, and we're listening to his violin concertos. You know, Mozart was so young when he composed this gorgeous music. I have been to his museum in Salzburg, and his piano and his clothes, he was a rather small man, but my, what a mighty man. And he, in the museum, they have his harpsichord and his piano, his composition pieces, and that was a wonderful experience. Salzburg is a wonderful city of music, Salzburg, Austria. And when we think of Mozart, we think of fine china, everything perfect, just a fine, perfect. And I know my children played Mozart violin concertos, and often different teachers, of course, want to interpret them in different ways, and very interesting. But it always comes back to Mozart is perfection. He really is. And it has been said by many, you know, Bach is spiritual, and Beethoven is the soul, and Mozart, he's the mind. Of course, he has all three, but he's very perfect. Well, I have something special for our tea table today. Yes. And it looks almost like a costume. You know, Mozart was writing in the 1700s, and this is my new teapot I received as a birthday gift, and I'm sharing it with you. I think it is queen of the teapots. I've never had anything like it. And here she is. See her outfit, and I chose a pink cup and a little chintz creamer and sugar. Well, I'm going to pour out. This is a lovely pink cup, and I just felt like with spring almost here, or actually here, that it would be very nice. And I'm going to gently do this. There we go. I had poured a little bit earlier, so because I don't know about this pot, I don't want anything to happen to it. I'm going to show it to you up close. This is the front of her dress, and then it goes around the back. Isn't she just gorgeous? I call her my tea lady. Okay. And then we take a little splash of milk. Oh my, that is fabulous. I'm going to show you the saucer. See how beautiful it is? I love pink. I always save pink for spring and summer because reds and browns and other china greens are nice for fall and winter. And then when spring comes, I want pink. Oh, it's delicious. This is a very nice cup. And then I put something on my tea card. My mother always rang the dinner bell, and this is the tea bell. And that's little Blue Boy and Pinky on the bell, little China bell. And that's fun. You can ring the dinner bell or the tea bell. Isn't that nice? Well, I found a black, I thought, it's still chilly here. We still have like little patches of rain, clouds, sun, rainbows. March and April are very dramatic in our state, and they're wonderful, but still chilly, so I need a little shawl. Well, I thought this was so nice. These are beads on the shawl, and it's a black, so thin you can see through it, like a silk. And I felt like it's a lady would wear it in France, in Spain, maybe Italy, Southern Europe. And so I wanted to wear it today. And in Vienna, they always had a lot of black lace and shawls, and Salzburg, where Mozart is from, you know. And Mozart is very spiritual also. This is, if you've ever heard his Requiem, I think it's one of the last things he wrote, and it's absolutely breathtaking. It's wonderful if you can go to a concert, and I've gone several times, with the paper in front of you so you can follow it, because it's all a spiritual prayer to God. It's so beautiful. And I think this is part of his Requiem right there. And it's very moving indeed. Well, I'm going to show you what kind of tea I used today. This was a birthday gift from a friend, and it's called Earl Grey Ahmad. And I love this tea, and I'm using it today. I have discovered a clump of this with my Tetley is a fabulous combination. And my same friend gave this to me 2 years ago for Christmas, and it lasted 2 years. And so you don't have to use a lot, but it's Ahmad Earl Grey, and it is wonderful. Well, then she gave me something else for the tea table. It's for all of you too. Little cookies. And look, it's got the dogwood for spring and the blue. They're Dansk. Little butter cookies. Let's open them and see. Everyone always wants to know what the treat is. Isn't that a nice treat today? You may take 1 or 2, whatever you like. Well, I'll tell you, this is not really a tea table today. What do you think I'm sitting at? And I did it on purpose. I'm sitting at my desk, my secretary. Well, I hadn't sat at my secretary for a long time. I have several desks in my house. My favorite pieces of furniture are desks and china closets. I love both. Well, this is an old-fashioned secretary. I will be honest, when I opened it up, there were quite a few things inside. I thought this needs a little spring cleaning. You know, in the olden days, an old German lady that was a neighbor of mine, when I was very young and just starting out marriage and having children, she told me that the tradition in their family and in Germany was every spring, every inch of the inside of the house was cleaned from top to bottom, painted, silver polished, cupboards cleaned, and just work. And then after Easter, they went outside and started working in their yards and gardens. And so I thought, okay, we have a few more weeks, and I quickly cleaned my little desk out, and it didn't take me very long. Now I'm going to use it again. And I found this, and I thought my tea children would love this. It's a real feather. It's a little feather fountain pen. And I use it with, this is actual ink that I use for calligraphy or writing letters, a special note. And it's fun to have. I have this too, which is it's got a crown on it, and it's a real inkwell. And I love this. I love my little desk, old-fashioned desk items. And you know, in the olden days, everyone was writing with an inkwell, and it's fun. Here's another thing I have that is really nice. And this is do you see, that's a really nice fountain pen. It's very satisfying to do a letter by hand. And we've all gotten out of the habit because of our phones and texting, but I've been sending out little notes, and whenever I do, I feel happy. This is a little shoe I had for a shoemaker given to me by my kids, but this is an actual inkwell. Let's see what's in it. That's oil. It's wonderful. And so you can put ink in there and sit down and pause, and there's room here, room for a small pot of tea and a cup, and you know, take time. I think the secret to life is pausing and taking time. And you know, when I grew up in April this month, daffodils were everywhere, and I grew up in Tacoma, and we had the Daffodil Festival every April, one of my earliest memories. And we lived in a house that overlooked the Puyallup Valley. And when we moved in that house when I was very young, it was an old 1907 Norwegian-built wonderful home with all the natural cedar and fir inside, and fir floors and fir trim, and nothing was painted except the walls. We had all the wonderful wood, and my mother almost painted it once. I said, "Oh no, don't paint the trim, keep it natural." And then she was so glad I told her that. But anyway, we grew up, and then I went away to college and would come back occasionally, and then my brother said, let's paint their house as a surprise for them. So when my parents were gone, we got a big work party and painted their whole house wonderfully. Well, my brother got up on the roof and he goes, "Oh, there's Mount Rainier." We had forgotten when we moved in that house, we had always seen Mount Rainier over the valley, over the Puyallup Valley with the daffodils. And the trees had grown up, but the mountain was still there. Isn't that interesting? There's something very spiritual about that. We can't always see God, but we know He's there. He's firm like a mountain. And then in the valley, there's a spiritual lesson. You know, everything grows in the valley. Valleys are the hard places of our lives. But if we yield to God and ask Him to help us, He will make us very fruitful in the valley. That's what Joseph said, "I've been fruitful," even in his slavery. He became the prime minister. And so the darkness turned to light, you know? And the lilies grow in the valleys. And it says that Jesus is the lily of the valley, and it says He also feedeth among the lilies. And the lily is a very special flower. And actually, the daffodil and the tulip, they're all in the lily family. There are two families of flowers, the rose and the lily. And many of these flowers with all different colors, like the iris, that's in the lily family. Yes. And they all grow in that valley because all the soil from the top of the mountains wash down into the valley. That's why you'll always see cows grazing in the valley and farmers having fabulous crops. Isn't that interesting? We can learn so much by just pausing and actually reflecting and thinking through. And that's what I feel our world needs to do more of. And yes, well, I also brought something that relates to a desk, and it's bookends. And this is it's the famous boy looking at his book, and he's thinking and he's pondering. And I like that. And there's two of them. And I think that that's what my theme is today, is Selah. The word Selah, it's a Hebrew word. It's in the Psalms. You who read the Bible know that it'll say like 5 or 6 verses, and then it'll say Selah. Well, Selah the Psalms are actually meant to be sung. It's called the hymn book of the Bible. And Selah means pause and think about it. Pause and reflect. And don't just rush through everything. Read a few verses and then think of what I read and let it sink in. And I believe that is what makes people intelligent, calm, peaceful, and gives one understanding. It's like almost like a Sabbath, Shabbat. Every 7 days you have a day of rest. And the purpose, one of the main purposes of that Sabbath was so you would stop your work, yes, worship God, but pause everything and have a rest to body, soul, and spirit, and then have a time of reflection. What have I done this past week that is good? What can I do to improve it for next week? And that's how progress is made. If we just move with no stop, we're like a machine, and we just work without growing or developing new ideas. So that is something to really take time, because our world is going to push. But we are not victims. God wants us to be in charge of our own lives. We can pause. We have a time in the morning to read scripture and pray and pause and let the day come. It will be a better day. The great Martin Luther used to say, if I have a really busy day and I have so much to do, then I spend twice as much time in my early morning devotions, so I will have strength and creativity and intelligence to go through and do my day. One other thing Martin Luther said that I love, it's one of my favorite sayings, and he said, you will have as much laughter as you have faith. And he lived that. He knew that. He had gone through deep times of not being able to find peace with God when he was young. And when he finally understood it was by grace alone, faith alone, and that he couldn't do it, he just had to receive it as a gift, his heart became so filled with joy, and he received it by faith. And that's where that saying comes from. But you can apply it to every area. Say you have a struggle and you have a burden for someone or something, and so you pray for that person, but you keep carrying it. But then you say, okay, God, I'm going to give it to you now on faith that you will answer. That's what faith is. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So I'm going to give it to you, God, and then bang, peace and joy. And that's what that means. You can write this down. You will have as much laughter as you have faith. And laughter and joy is so important for our health. There are doctors that actually prescribe people to watch funny movies or laughable things so their body gets lifted up. Laughter is very important, very important. And so we need to be light, happy, and not take ourselves too seriously or others. Cut other people's slack. When they do something you don't like, I like to think of that person as a child. And I think, you know, they were a child once. I don't know what they've gone through in their life. I'm going to just look at the good side and believe the best. And you know, it works. And then the people come around and sometimes they become your best friends. I've had that happen. I've had it happen several times. Where very difficult people that were acting out very negative ways, God gave me the grace to love them, forgive them, keep moving, and then they came into their own and they were just going through a hard time and they were acting out. So we have to cut each other's slack and forgive. Be quick to forgive. It's good for your health. Yes, it is. It is. Well, I brought a little purse today. I know that there's several on there that want to see a purse. And purses are so fun. And they're very practical. They carry our phone. They carry our money, our wallet, our personal information. And I thought this is a good in-between. It's not quite spring yet, but it's got this kind of vintage clasp, and it's got a long strap so it can be carried on the shoulder. And that is a nice way to carry a purse, actually, I've discovered, because then your hands are free. You know, this looks like it could be almost from any time period, doesn't it? It's has a very classic vintage look. And I think it's real leather, which is wonderful if you can get something with real leather, especially if it smells like real leather. You know, there's some leather that doesn't have that wonderful smell like it used to. I remember as a little girl going into Frederick and Nelson's, and there was an Italian little shoe shop in there that they only had Italian shoes. And you would walk in and it was like, oh my, this wonderful leather that would just, you know, nothing like it. And in those days, they were very exclusive, very expensive, and they were handmade in Italy. It was just fun to walk through and look. It was very fun. Well, I think each one of you are very special and you're getting ready for spring. And I was going to say that poetry, to me, is really for spring. I love the romantic poets in the spring. I like, you know, Percy Shelley and Keats and Lord Byron. I think I had an English class in the spring, one of my college years. And we studied all of them, and we went out and sat on the grass and smelled the flowers, and it just fits. The romantic poets, Goethe. Here's a little vase I have that made me think of it. This vase has the picture of the girl and the boy, you see? And it's the romantic in the spring poetry picture. Make sure that every day you consciously fill your mind with good thoughts. Don't let all the bad news come in and take over. It's not good, and we don't have to, because we know that God is like that mountain, the Mount Rainier standing there. Can't see him, but he's there. And he hasn't changed. He will never change. And he promised he would take care of us and provide for us. And all through history, this is the time when there's hard times, miracles happen. And what I've been thinking is, no matter what happens in the world news, I see the sun come up, the sun go down. The moon come up, the moon go down. The stars come out. All the flowers are blooming. If there were no one to see the daffodil would still bloom. The trees are getting their buds. The birds are singing. And the rainbow's still coming. So we are not victims. We have a choice to make. Let's focus on making other people happy and thinking and speaking good words, happy words, and know that God is very pleased when we do that. Because, it says in the Bible, He created the world with His words. That's Genesis. He spoke the stars. He spoke the sun, the moon. He spoke, the world was created. And it says we are made in His image, right? And so our words are powerful. There's a verse in the Bible that says, the power of life and death is in the tongue. Now, if that's true, which I believe it is, we need to pause and not let words come out that are not going to lift up and edify others and ourselves. Okay, and we create the atmosphere in our homes through good music, good tea parties, good words, prayer, and singing. We can do so much with so little. And it's exciting because it's contagious and it grows. And it's true. Whoever you associate with, you will become like. And so whatever you put in your home, everyone's going to feel it. We want people to come in our homes and feel God's love and to feel peace and to know that there's a place of calm in the storm. Well, it's been so lovely to be with you. Each one of you are so special to me. And I thank you for joining me. Please share this with others. I am doing this for one purpose: to lift up, to build up, to give God's love, and to overcome evil with good, to bring the light that follows the darkness. So this is for everyone. You can share it. And if you like it, I would like you to subscribe to my channel and then push the notification bell and the like button, and then you will receive a notification each time I do the Tea Talks. Because there's so many of you now, I can't send out all the links. So it would be great if you could do that. And just have a wonderful time. Enjoy this week. Enjoy April. Go take a walk and smell that wonderful fresh air. And I will look forward to seeing you next time.